Hey everybody, this is the Apple Reseller here. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a video on whether the Ipod Touch 4th generation is still worth it in 2017 or not. So let's get into it. So this iPod is basically 7 years old now. It came out back in September of 2010, and that was when the iPhone 4 was the newest iPhone. So this is a while ago. Now, when this iPod came out, it actually had a lot of features. A lot of the features were actually taken from the iPhone 4, such as the A4 CPU, which is the processor, and the Retina display as well. So it's got 4 times as many pixels as the previous iPod Touch. It also has a gyroscope, which came from the iPhone 4, and it also has FaceTime, which is basically video chat on Apple devices. That was first introduced to the iPhone 4, and then when this came out, it came to the iPod Touch. Now, this iPod Touch also was the first iPod Touch to have cameras. Now, it did have a front and a rear camera, and then the rear camera records at 720p. However, the camera itself is only 0.7 megapixel, and the front camera is pretty bad. It's only 0.3 megapixel and records at VGA. So as you can see, this iPod was actually really good for its time. However, it's been 7 years, so let's see how it holds up. When this iPod first came out, it actually ran iOS 4, iOS 4.1 to be exact, and it was a really fast iPod for its time. However, it's running iOS 6 now, which is the newest version that this iPod can run, specifically iOS 6.1.6. So let me just show you guys that this is running 6.1.6. As you can see here, we're going to check for update. And as you can see, iOS 6.1.6 is the latest version of iOS this iPod can run. And it actually doesn't run too bad. The operating system itself is pretty smooth, so if you launch app and close out of it, it's actually not too bad and still runs at a reasonable speed. However, the only issue is that this iPod only has 256 megabytes of RAM, so that's not a lot of RAM for today. So if you start doing like multitasking, it doesn't really keep up. Like if you browse the web and play games and check email and you go back and forth between apps, it's gonna have to like reload itself. So performance is still okay on this iPod, although it's not the best. Now let's talk about app support. Because this iPod is running iOS 6, app support is not going to be the best. However, as you can see here, I have downloaded a lot of apps that still works on this iPod, although all these apps are older version. As you can see, I got Facebook, Messenger, YouTube, Google Map, Google Chrome, Twitter, and a lot of the apps still works on this iPod. You could still download them. However, you have to download older versions, but you can still download them. So I would say app support on this iPod is okay, even though it's not the best. Overall, I think this iPod is still very well supported today, especially for its age compared to like older iOS device such as Ipod Touch first generation or second generation, or even maybe the third generation, although I'm not sure because I never had one, and also the iPhone first generation, which is a 2G and the 3G. All of those devices are pretty unsupportive today, as in like the web browser doesn't work anymore, doesn't display correctly, are very slow, and you can't get apps running. However, I feel this iPod does a lot better than those devices, as like you could still like FaceTime on this device, you could still use the iMessage app and message people, you could still check email and receive email on this. You can still browse the web at a reasonable speed, even though it's not the fastest. The Safari on this device works pretty well, and all the stock app like camera, weather, the map app, reminder, notes, all of that still works fine. And generally, the third-party app are still supported as long as you use older version, so you can still use them with older version of apps. So overall, I think this iPod is still worth it in 2017, although just not as your main device. I think for its age, this device holds up really well. So I think this is a good iPod if you want to use it as a second device, like, or a backup device, or if you like to collect iPod, this is a good iPod for you. Or if you just want to use this device for like music, this will be a good iPod too, although you should get something with more storage since this is an 80 GB Ipod Touch. Or you should get like a first gen Ipod Touch because that thing has a really good DAC, so your music will sound a lot better. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy. And if you do enjoy my content, go ahead and subscribe to me. I would really appreciate it. I will see you guys next time.